Hey hun, I'm Chloe and this is the Corkscrew tutorial. My mission is to share my passion for pole dancing and make pole dancing easy to learn and accessible. This is the 47th video of the beginner pole trick tutorial series. In order to maximize your training out of all the videos, I highly recommend you to start from the very first video of this playlist, as the tricks will be a progression of the video before. The corkscrew is a very versatile trick. You can do this both on spin and static. This video is mirrored for your ease of learning. I'll also have a red wristband on my right wrist and my right ankle to indicate the right side of my body if you do get confused of the directions. This trick tutorial is created for you for information and educational purposes only, and for you to enjoy learning pole dancing from the comfort of your own home. Please participate at your own risk and don't work beyond your capability, and seek help or spotting when necessary. For any health concerns, please make sure to seek professional medical advice. Please also make sure you warm up your body before you start this video. I have a warm-up playlist depending on your level under the playlist warm-up so that you can try it before you do the tricks. If you enjoy this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up so that I know to create more of these kinds of videos, and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet so that you are notified every single time I upload a video. If you're looking to further your pole journey in combining tricks and dance together, then consider learning on my online learning platform, Pole Art Vault, where we put all the tricks together into a combo and learning an entire routine with combos and dance together. You can find the link in the description below for further information. Alrighty, without further ado, let's get into the corkscrew tutorial. Alrighty, let's get into our conditioning. For our conditioning today, we are going to do a static climb and then sliding down to the floor. So you'll have to be able to climb the pole, which is a prerequisite, and making sure that you watch the static climb tutorial if you haven't yet, and then coming back to this. So we are gonna do one forearm grip static climb. You can do either forearm grip, whichever you want to, or half bracket, whatever's comfortable with you. And then you're gonna tuck your pelvis all the way up, so thrusting your hip all the way to the pole so that your tummy and your chest is on the pole, hands in front of your chest. You're gonna kick your ankle all the way towards your bum and then sliding down. So making sure that you glue your hand where it is and then hold it. So you're gonna squeeze your armpit as much as you can and think about pulling the pole down into the floor. Alrighty, let's do this together. So whichever climb you want to, I'm gonna go into static climb. Thrusting your hip all the way towards the pole so that your tummy and your chest is on the pole. Hand in front of your chest, make sure it's all the way in front of your chest. Squeeze your armpit in, ankle towards your bum, and then you're gonna slide down. Well done. Let's do two more of that. Climb, hand in front of your chest, slide it all the way down. Ankle to bum, slide it down. Perfect, well done. One last one. Hand in front of your chest, ankle to bum, slide down. Well done. All right, we've got three more on the other side. So whatever climb you want to go into, I'm going to start with my forearm grip climb. Thrusting your hip, hands in front of your chest, ankle to bum, sliding down. Making sure that you glue that hand. Good, two more. Yes, nice. All right, we got one last one. Let's do this. Perfect. Well done. So there's your conditioning done. Alrighty, so let's get into our corkscrew. As I mentioned in my intro, with your corkscrew, you can do both spin or static. My pole's on spin today, but I'll show you how to do it on static after this as well. So this is what a corkscrew looks like. Alrighty, so let's break down our corkscrew. So with a corkscrew, I'm going to show you two different leg variations. Quite simple. One bent leg, one straight leg, and then both legs bent. Now, with a corkscrew, we have our outside hand on top, inside hand on the bottom in a baseball grip. Now, in terms of your hand placement, you want to make sure that your hands are no higher than your head height. Now, from there, you're gonna step in with your inside leg forward, and then you're gonna swing your inside bum around so that your bum cheek is on the pole, and then your shelf is on the pole. From there, you're gonna look over your inside shoulder, and then kicking your leg to the side, and then bending your outside leg. And then with the second leg variation, you just bend both legs. Now, let's just try this from the floor first, from a standing position, so that you can familiarize yourself with the position. So making sure that you get your inside bum cheek on the pole, and then your inside armpit on the pole, and then your shelf should be on the pole as well. Making sure that your inside hand is just around neck height, outside hand just around cheek height. And then from there, kicking your leg to the side, really locking in that bum, and then you're gonna lift your outside leg up. Good, let's try it on the other side. So we're gonna get your inside bum cheek onto the pole, inside armpit around, grabbing the pole with your inside hand neck height, outside hand at cheek height, making sure that you keep your wrist neutral as well. So make sure you're not over-upping your wrist, and this is the cause of injury. If you have a face of a watch, that should be facing forward, away from you. From there, you're gonna look over your inside shoulder, and then lifting your outside knee up. Perfect. Now, in order to do this aerially, as I mentioned, we're gonna have to step in with that inside leg forward and think about swinging your bum around and in front of the pole. So you're almost hula hooping bum in front in order to get that bum cheek on the pole. So this time around, you're gonna place your hand a little higher because you're gonna pull up into it very slightly. So, hands just around head height so that you can pull yourself into it. Stepping in with your inside leg, you're gonna pull up, get your inside bum cheek onto the pole, bend your outside leg, and hold it. Other leg variation, just bending both legs. To come out, inside leg down, and outside leg down. Well done. Let's try it on the other side. Outside and on top, inside and on the bottom. Make sure that you grab the pole a little higher so that once you get into it, your hands will be the right position you want it. Stepping in with your inside leg, swing your bum around, bend your outside knee, really get it into the armpit, hold it there, and then stag leg. To come out, inside leg, and outside leg. Well done. So there is your corkscrew on spin on both sides. Now, if you are feeling a little adventurous, you can try taking your outside hand off. However, just be mindful that this is an option and you do not need to do this, and it is more advanced only if you have bum cheek grip and your armpit grip. So same exact thing, you're just gonna pull yourself up, so stepping in with your inside leg, swinging your bum around. Once you get right into the armpit, you're just gonna take your outside hand off. And then you can also stag your leg as well. There you have it. So give that one a try as well. Again, this is more of an advanced option, so if you don't feel secure in it, then you can just keep both hands on the pole. Just an option. Well done. Alrighty, now let's try the corkscrew on a static pole. Now with a static pole, because we need that extra momentum, that means you want to start slightly further away from the pole so that you get that extra momentum. So with static, if you start close to the pole, then that means you're not going to get any momentum. The further away you start, the more momentum you get. Now, again, same exact thing. You're gonna keep your both hands on the pole, And then from there, or I should say one hand on the pole, so inside and on the pole. And then from there, you're gonna step a little further away. Stepping in with your inside leg. And then from there, you're gonna swing your outside leg around, and then you're gonna tuck your knee. So the motion you're trying to achieve is swinging your leg in a circle and then bending your outside knee. So you're gonna go step and then grab the pole, swing, and into your armpit. Now, when you're trying this on a static pole, make sure that you're not overwrapping your wrist, and also don't grab the pole too hard. If you try grabbing the pole too hard, then you are going to burn your wrist and your armpit as well. So make sure that your grip is slightly on the looser side. I know it is quite tricky, and it is sort of counterproductive to what you want to do with spin, because you're trying to grab as hard as you can on spin. But with static, you need to keep it slightly loose. So again, make sure that you step away from the pole, so at an angle, and then once you pull yourself back in, then you're gonna get your bum cheek on the pole. Let's try on the other side as well. So inside and on the pole, stepping a little further away. Stepping in with your inside leg, and then you're gonna swing your outside leg around, grab the pole, swing. And coming out. Well done. So with static, just make sure you keep practicing. It'll come definitely with practice. So making sure that your grip is loose, don't squeeze the pole too much into your armpit, and really use your outside leg momentum to swing yourself around the pole. Well done. Alrighty, let's go through some tips and common mistakes. Now, first tip I want to give you is your hand placement. Now, with a hand placement, I've seen some hands quite high in the past, but we want to keep it relatively low. So, instead of having your hand all the way up here, making sure that your hand or outside hand is right around your cheek height, and then inside hand just around neck height. This is going to help you a lot get into the right position, and also you don't want to hide your beautiful face, you know, with your arm. So make sure you slide it all the way down so that you can get right into the armpit as well. Now, the lower your hand is, I shouldn't say the lower because you don't want it all the way down here, but the lowest I would probably go is neck and cheek, this height. Now, if you're able to keep your hands here, this is gonna help you a lot with conditioning with your inverts, which we will start inverting when you go into intermediate level. So just making sure that you start conditioning your body right now, doing your inverts. And that's also the reason why we did our conditioning in the beginning when we did our climbs. I always would tell you to get your hand in front of your chest, because that's gonna help you, again, develop the correct muscles in terms of where your lats are to be able to pull the pole down when you're coming into your invert. So that's the reason why. So making sure that your hand positioning is correct. Now, other thing I want to talk about is also the body positioning. Now, with your body positioning, as I mentioned earlier, you want to make sure that your inside bum cheek is on the pole and your inside shelf is nice and close to the pole. That's gonna help you get into the correct positioning, and that's gonna give you 2 extra grip points on top of that. So if your bum cheek and your shelf isn't on the pole, that means that you're literally just using your arm, and that would be very hard. So make sure that you get your bum cheek and then your shelf onto the pole. So for those that don't know what a shelf is, it's your waist. So literally just between your rib and your hip bone. So making sure that you get right into it for that extra grip. Now, other thing I want to talk about is getting into that right position in your corkscrew spin. So that's probably the toughest part of this trick, aside from making sure that you pull the pole down, which I'll talk about after this. You want to make sure that you hula hoop your bum around the pole. So if you try to pretty much just run into the pole or go directly into the pole, you're going to end up hitting your hip onto the pole and you won't be able to get your bum cheek on the pole. So making sure that you twist your chest away from the pole so that your hip gets out of the way, and think about circling your hip around so that you can get your bum cheek on the pole. Now, for those that are still working on their strength to be able to pull up, I highly suggest you to keep working on the conditioning, especially the climbs. The climb conditionings will help you a lot get into the right position and develop the correct muscles to be able to pull yourself into the corkscrew. So keep practicing that. Now, other thing I want to talk about is the pull with your hands. Now, when you are pulling into a corkscrew, you have to make sure that you're able to lift your bum slightly up and get into it. Again, this is sort of a conditioning / strength thing. So making sure that you really condition your body before you get into the corkscrew is going to be super crucial. And please make sure that you condition, because if you do not condition, you are going to get injured, and it is not a fun time getting injured. So again, make sure that you pull the pole down, outside and on top, and then you swing your bum around the pole. Now, when you're pulling, you always want to make sure that you're thinking about pulling the pole down to the floor. So pull the pole down. Making sure that you keep your elbows to your side and think about pulling the pole down. That's going to help you a lot with getting into the right position and then pushing your bum up a little higher into position. Now, let's talk about our hand. So you always want to make sure that your outside hand is on top and then inside hand on the bottom. So if I'm standing on the left side of the pole, outside hand always on the top. Again, this is going to set you up for inverts that are about to come soon. So stay tuned for that as well. Now, let's talk about head movement. So with our corkscrew, our head placement is going to be very crucial, because that's going to help you also get into the correct position. So you always want to look over your inside shoulder. So your inside shoulder, remember that before you get into the trick, you want to make sure that you want to remind yourself, I should say, which hand is your inside and outside. So if I'm standing on the left side of the pole, that means my left hand is my inside. And then meaning my inside shoulder is this shoulder. So you're gonna look over your inside shoulder. And that way, once you get into position, you can get into a better positioning, and it actually helps you lock yourself into that correct positioning in your corkscrew. So make sure you tilt your head over, so looking towards the floor over your shoulder. Now, let's talk about doing this on static. So when you're doing this on static, it's very similar to spinning, but again, as I mentioned earlier, you're gonna have to step a little further away from the pole and give yourself extra momentum. Now, when you're stepping into the pole, make sure that you're not facing your toe towards the pole. So you wanna make sure that your toe is facing away from the pole, so that once you step in, your bum is twisted away from the pole, and then you can get into the right position. So if you try to turn towards the pole, you're gonna again hit your hip into the pole. So make sure you step away from the pole, so that once you get into the position, then your bum cheek could come onto the pole. And that's gonna help you a lot get into the right position. Now, let's also talk about our dismount. Now, with our dismount, you always want to make sure that you step with your inside leg down first and then outside leg down, because the inside leg is the closest one to the floor. Just much easier to dismount. So remember your inside leg down and then your outside leg down. Making sure that you work on your correct dismount is going to help you in the long run, because you don't want to just do the trick and then come out of it a bit messy. And also, it's a cause of injury as well. So make sure you really work on your dismounts, and that's gonna help you a lot. Now, lastly, let's talk about grip. So our grip points for this one is our inside armpit, inside shelf, and then your inside bum cheek. Meaning, if there's any material interfering with that area, you're gonna have to make sure you tuck it up. So if you have any shirt on, short sleeve shirt, that covers your abdominal area and also your legs, or I should say your hips and your bum, you're gonna have to tuck it all the way up. And that's the reason why we all wear pole wear, because it helps a lot with the grip. Now, let's also talk about hand grip and body grip. I have very dry skin, so I use something a bit more moisturizing on my body, and I use something a bit more drying on my hands because I have sweaty skin, or sweaty palms, I should say. So make sure that you invest into the correct grip. The grip I use are in the link in the description. I'm not sponsored for any of the products, but this is for your own benefit. So find the right grip for you, and that's gonna help you a lot to get into the grip and also not slide down the pole, because that's the last thing we want. And that's all the tips and common mistakes I wanted to go through. Alrighty, before I let you go, a little mindset tip for you today. I just want to talk about tricks in general and how to assess if you are prepared for it or not. And on the topic of that, I also want to mention that if you feel like some of the tricks are hard for you, or if you feel like you're not getting into the right position, or if you're not strong enough for the trick, then I highly suggest you to keep working on the more fundamental tricks first before you try the harder tricks. And the reason for that is because, firstly, I don't want you to get injured. It's the worst once you get injured. Probably won't be able to do any sort of physical activity for a while, and that's going to hinder your progress and just life in general. We don't want that. But second of all, you also want to make sure that you're working on your confidence to be able to execute the tricks as well. Now, the best approach, and if you feel like you need a personalized or customized program, is to approach a pole dancing instructor or someone that is knowledgeable in conditioning and making sure that you get the correct muscles before you attempt the tricks, and making sure that you work on your mindset. Now, with your mindset, I think it's always good to work on things that make you feel confident. So maybe starting on basic stuff, that's gonna help you boost your confidence. And ultimately, if you feel like you need a bit more guidance, then asking for help, maybe get a mentor, get a coach, that could help you with your mindset and also your physical sort of activity as well. So make sure that if you need help, and we also have an online learning platform, Polar Vault, that you reach out to me or maybe another pole dancing instructor you know, or any coach around you that could help you with your fitness and well-being, and keep working on your pole journey. Thank you so much for joining me in the Corkscrew tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you in the very next tutorial. Bye! Thank you so much for joining me in the carousel.